What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Desai Guys Football Forum, bringing you another waiver wire episode here as we head into Week 5. I'm one of your co-hosts, I'm Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Desai Guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, we're not going to waste any time here. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to cover all the major positions when it comes to your fantasy roster as far as the standard league is concerned. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to start at the quarterback position. Who do you like this week, heading into Week 5 as a quarterback to pick up off the waiver wire?
Look, this is a guy I've been telling people to stay cool on. Let's wait to see if he's legit. I'm calling it right now. He is legit, and that is Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. I am so sorry, Jets fans. Man, you guys just cannot catch a break, can you? But anyway, Sam Darnold put up 31 points against the Cowboys defense. And I know people are going to go, it's the Cowboys defense. Of course he did that. But at the same time, you know what? They have Trayvon Diggs, who is a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year, deservedly so. So they are no longer a gimme, oh, this is going to be an easy game. So you look at who the Panthers are playing next week in terms of just purely streaming. And I recommend picking up Darnold if you just need a solid backup quarterback. But if you need someone to start, you can do a lot worse than Darnold as a streaming option. So the Panthers are playing the Eagles next week. I know the Eagles did really well against Matt Ryan. He only had 6 points against them in Week 1. But you look at what all the other quarterbacks the Eagles have done, it's ridiculous. You have Jimmy G. He scored 19 points against them. Dak Prescott scored also 19 points against them. And then Patrick Mahomes this past weekend scored 31. Now, look, is Darnold on the level of any of those guys? Of course not. But he is proven to be a dependable, volume-heavy quarterback. And when you go, Tad, what do you mean by volume-heavy? He's averaged almost 300 passing yards per game. And sure, you can chalk that up to Christian McCaffrey's injury. Doesn't matter. McCaffrey probably still going to be out next week. That probably means they're going to be passing a lot. So he has a ton of throwing opportunities there. And look, I just think that with DJ Moore, the way they utilized DJ Moore this past weekend as, kind of the quasi running back wide receiver duo, why can't they repeat that against a terrible Philadelphia Eagles defense? So look, if you're looking for a streaming option, or if you're just looking for a solid backup quarterback to kind of get on your roster that could pay dividends for that 1 week you need a quarterback when your starter's out, I think you could do a lot worse than Darnold. So I'm saying go all in on Darnold at this point.
Yeah, I think I brought up Darnold in a previous episode. That's like, I think I like the talent. He's got the support around him finally compared to what he had in New York. So also you got to remember, we're heading into Week 5, Week 6, or when the bye week starts. So It's not a bad idea to start thinking about your bye week replacements a little bit early before you have to worry about it that week. So yeah, getting a guy like Sam Darnold, I think he's an excellent streaming option. So yeah, very good addition to your roster if you can grab him. My guy that I'm picking up for this week is Michael Mccorkle Jones, or you may better know him as Mac Jones of the New England Patriots. Rostered in only 13.9% of ESPN leagues and 17% of Yahoo leagues. So look, it was all the talk about Tom Brady returning to New England, and they lose the heartbreaker on the missed field goal by Nick Folk. But you know what? A great bounce back team to sort of revitalize your efforts heading into the rest of the season. You get to play the Houston Texans in Week 5. Texans are allowing...
That helps. That's the best remedy in the NFL.
Exactly. The Texans are allowing the 5th most yards in the league and also the 5th most total points. So, look, Mac Jones and the Patriots are tied for 3rd most total passing attempts in the league. So, they're going to be able to air it out here. And I know this offense is going to be a little bit more balanced because Houston's just bad on all fronts. So Damien Harris, who's probably rostered in a majority of your leagues, he's probably going to have a good day at the office. But Mac Jones, I think this is a really good confidence builder type of game to sort of like get his feet under him, establish himself as, the franchise quarterback of the New England Patriots, and really give yourself a really good, fantasy day if you're able to stream him, if you need to stream a quarterback this week, or if you're playing in DFS. So yeah, I really like Mac Jones at Week 5 playing against Houston. I think any matchup going against Houston, going for the rest of the season is a good play. So in this case, if you need a quarterback, he's available in most leagues based on the percentages that I already gave you. Yeah, pick up Mac Jones. I think you'll be pretty happy if you do pick him up.
And I'll say this, if you are in a dynasty league and somehow Mac Jones is not picked up yet, pick him up right now. Right now. I don't care who you have to drop to get. Well, I do. Don't drop like, a DeAndre Hopkins for. Don't do that.
Don't be Bill O'Brien. Don't be Bill O'Brien.
Low blow, my friend. Well deserved.
Isn't that low?
Well, I was gonna say well deserved, but low blow nonetheless. But yeah, so obviously if you have a Robert Tonyan on your roster, for example, and that is not coincidence, I'm probably dropping him on my roster soon. But if you have a guy you're willing to get rid of for Mac Jones and you're in a dynasty league, 100%. Mac Jones, I think, will develop into a very good starter for the New England Patriots. So I like it.
Yeah, the way most dynasty leagues, I'm pretty sure he's rostered in all your leagues or whatever. But yeah, in the freak coincidence that he is available, go snatch him up. Let's move into the running backs here, Tad. Who do you like for week 5 for the running back position?
This mother effer. This son of a bitch. So, for those of you who don't know, I just traded for Miles Sanders. I'm an idiot because the other idiot, Nick Sirianni, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to trust Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has been mostly used as blocking back because, who else screams blocking back like a 5'10 running back? Anyway, I'm trying so hard not to go on a rant right now. But you look at the reason Miles Sanders has been losing touches, losing touchdowns, is entirely due to Kenneth Gainwell's ability to succeed in the red zone. And here's the most important thing, especially if you're in a PPR league, his ability to succeed as a receiving running back. So you look at everything Kenneth Gainwell has done. He has had 18 targets over the last 4 weeks, including 6 catches this past week against the Chiefs. When the Eagles are in the red zone, he plays a majority of the snaps at running back. When he isn't in, Sanders is usually left behind, like I said, as an extra blocker. So, look, they play the Panthers next week. The Panthers' run defense has been surprisingly good. But after that, their schedule is so beneficial to a red zone running back. They have Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, and Detroit 3 weeks in a row. And I know people are going to go, well, Tampa Bay, that's a pretty good defense. Look at the stats. That defense has really been underperforming so far this year. So if you're looking for one of those low-key pickups, especially if you're in a deeper league, like a 14-man league or Murr, I hate it. But anyway, if you're in a deeper league and you kind of need someone for that kind of sneaky flex play, Gainwell is an excellent pickup at this point.
Yeah, he's not a bad pick, and I also love the name for the position, Kenneth Gainwell. It's one of those names that just perfectly fits. It's just like Whitney Merciless, the defensive end edge rusher. Like, that's just perfect naming right there. Just, you're bored to be a football player, especially at the position, too. It's just amazing.
Could you imagine Barkevius Mingo being like an insurance salesman? Like, there's no way. I know he didn't pan out in the NFL, but like, if you're getting a call from Barkevius Mingo, you're like, no, I don't trust you.
Very true. Very true.
Call for sure.
So for me, I'm actually bringing up a very popular name based on the injury news we sort of heard here about David Montgomery, and that's Damian Williams of the Chicago Bears. He's rostered in only 10.2% of ESPN leagues and only 9% of Yahoo leagues, but that number is going to shoot up because even though David Montgomery avoided a non-season ending injury, like he's only going to miss hopefully a couple of weeks, may have to go on the IR for a little bit, but it's not going to be season ending. All you David Montgomery owners, you will get to use him later on in the season. He is going to miss.
That's why you should have an IR spot in your league.
Exactly. So he is going to go on the IR probably for a little bit. Funnily enough, though, Damian Williams also suffered an injury. He suffered a thigh bruise, but it's not a serious injury. He is going to play this weekend if he is named the starter. But the nice thing that we finally saw with the Chicago Bears against the Detroit Lions, I know it's the Detroit Lions, but we saw good offense finally, and it was thanks to relying on the running game. And think about this. In both of their wins this year, the Bears rushed at least 30 times. And that sort of says something. That sort of brings a little bit more balance to your offense. You know, it's not so much pressure on the quarterback carousel that Matt Nagy wants to play there for some reason, whether it's Andy Dalton, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's Nick Foles, we don't know. But as long as you're running the football, you have good running backs with Damian Williams. We can't speak enough about our love for Damian Williams and why he should have been the Super Bowl MVP. Like, I mean, we keep bringing this up every time. But yeah, as a starter in place of David Montgomery, you couldn't look any better than him. So I don't think there's going to be any sort of loss of production with Damian Williams in the backfield. But yeah, make a claim for him because I'm pretty sure there's going to be every other manager in your league is going to try and make a claim for him because, yeah, he is going to be the starter. Just obviously monitor that thigh bruise. From what I'm hearing, it's not a serious injury, so he will be able to start if he's called to be the starter, obviously. But, yeah, pick up Damian Williams if you can.
Absolutely. So now, moving into receivers. Screw it. I'm going with my first Jets hot take. That's right, my first Jets hot take. I can have even a hotter one coming up, so stay tuned for that. I know. I had to do it. But anyway, for my first one, I think you guys should honestly consider, especially if you're hurting for a wide receiver right now, Jameson Crowder. Jameson Crowder played his first game of the season this past week after coming back from a groin injury, and he caught 7 balls for around 60 yards and a touchdown. And look, I honestly think this is where the hot take comes in. That type of performance can be pretty consistent throughout the season. The reason I say that is because, look, the Jets are going to be behind in a lot of games. I know they just lost or they just won against the Titans, but they are still going to be behind in a lot of games. That means Zach Wilson is going to be passing a lot. But this was easily the best Zach Wilson has looked all season. So maybe now he's finally hitting his stride. He's finally being able to prove himself to be the number 2 overall pick worthy. So all the defenses are focusing on Corey Davis. That leaves a lot for Jameson Crowder. And you also have to remember, Jameson Crowder probably running a lot more short routes. And I love Becton, even though Mekhi Becton's out. That Jets offensive line without him is god-awful. And this is coming from a Colts fan who knows a lot of things about a god-awful offensive line. Which, all this to say, the Jets are going to be doing a lot of short passes. Jameson Crowder is their short pass guy. So I think his target rate, his catch rate is going to be super high. And, of course, like I said, they're going to be passing it a ton. So chances are he'll be able to sneak in a garbage time touchdown every now and then. So, look, if you're really desperate for a wide receiver that you can kind of trust, or at least let's see how this goes on your bench, go for Jameson Crowder because no one else is going to go for him. If you go for, I don't know, a guy like Devonta Smith after the week he just had, depending on where you are in that waiver order, you might not get him. I promise you, no one else is going for Jameson Crowder right now. So that could be the sneaky good pickup of the week.
Honestly, for me, it's not that much of a hot take because I'm a huge Jameson Crowder fan, actually. And then you also have to think about the fact that Mike LaFleur, who is now the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, his brother's Matt LaFleur, and they also had a very similar system to Sean McVay, as well as Kyle Shanahan. And what do they like to do? West Coast offense. So exactly like you said, the short passes establish a sort of form of the running game through the short pass. And that's exactly what Jameson Crowder is. He catches those short passes, yak yardage. I mean, that's exactly what Jameson exactly, and that's exactly what Jameson Crowder can do best. So it's like having him healthy finally in this offense. I think he could really benefit from that, and Zach Wilson can have that sort of check down that can actually lead to more than just a check down. So yeah, I actually don't think it's that much of a hot take. I really like Jameson Crowder. For me, I actually got maybe another little bit of a hot take here, and it's another veteran receiver, and it's A.J. Green of the Arizona Cardinals. He's only rostered in 27.2% of ESPN leagues, 24% of Yahoo leagues, and here's the crazy thing, Tad. He has gotten 6 targets in all 4 games the Arizona Cardinals have played, and on top of that, he is second on the team in targets. Like, if you told me that heading into the offseason that A.J. Green would be second on this team on targets, I think you're crazy because it's just I didn't see that from the final years that he was there in Cincinnati. You didn't see that because unfortunately he just wasn't healthy. But that's the key thing. He is healthy now, and he's a dependable veteran receiver. That's what Kyler Murray had in Larry Fitzgerald the previous 2 years, but now he has that in AJ Green. Obviously he has DeAndre Hopkins, but there's a reason that I think they're going to AJ Green more because it's just Rondale Moore. I know he had that excellent game. I think it was 2 weeks ago where he just totally broke out and you thought that was going to be consistent, but it's a rookie. So it's just maybe he'll have his weeks here and there where he's really good and he'll totally take it off the field, take it off. But I think having a guy like AJ Green, you'll see that consistency, the veteranness, being able to, run solid routes and just get open, which is the main thing that you want in an offense as a receiver, right? I think that's one of the biggest things that the Cardinals were depending on when they signed him. They're like, as long as this guy stay healthy, I think he could look really good in this offense, and so far he's been proving it. And this offense is just absolutely on fire. I think they may cool down, but for now, in a Week 5 matchup against my 49ers, who have a terrible secondary, I think he's a surefire flex play. He's a surefire flex play, and if he continues to stay healthy, he's got long-term potential too. So just like we talked about, with those bye weeks coming up, he could be an excellent bye week replacement if you need a receiver like that. So I'm all in on AJ Green, surprisingly. I think as long as he stays healthy, he's a good guy to have on your roster, at least your bench, but possibly as a streaming flex option too.
No, I totally agree. And because you have to remember, I think the reason for a lot of his injury concerns in Cincinnati, he was the only guy in Cincinnati they were throwing to. Like, that was the thing. Is he was getting hit so much more often in Cincinnati. And now with this Cardinals offense with A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, Chase Edmonds. Holy shit, he proved me wrong. We are, 2 weeks removed from me saying, hey, sell high on Chase Edmonds?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, that was a bad take quite yet, but I'm saying that he is well on his way to prove me wrong there. But anyways, there's so many targets on this Cardinals offense. If you're not getting hit on every play, of course you're going to be healthier than you were. So you're absolutely right. If, Adam Thielen or Keenan Allen or DeAndre Hopkins, yes, I'm doing the not-so-humble brag about my receivers right now. If any of those guys are out and I can plug A.J. Green in there, I'm happy. So, yeah, I love A.J. Green. And while we're on the topic of the Cardinals, let's move into the tight end position. Let's talk about Max Williams. Look, he is a boomer bust prospect at tight end. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, hey, he can get you 5 points. By the way, we told you guys last week to pick up Dawson Knox. I won't run through the whole story. I got outbid for Dawson Knox. I put in $4. For those of you who don't know, my league with all my college friends, it's a bidding waiver wire. So it doesn't matter what your record is. If you bid the most for that player, you get him. So I was like, yeah, I think $4 will be solid for Dawson Knox. Who else is going to put up that much? The guy beat me by $20. He put up 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and you know
crazy.
what? It paid off because
True.
Dawson Knox had 18 points. So listen to this. This tight end class this year is just a barren wasteland. It is awful. You have your top 3 guys and Darren Waller, kind of George Kittle, I guess. Is he going to turn it on sooner or later? What's going on with him?
Well, I don't know. He suffered a calf injury, and so looking good against Seattle, a little bit here, but then he took a pretty big hit, but looking like he's going to be okay, but just, now the question marks are coming at the quarterback position, so George Kittle's a little bit of a question mark as far as top 3 this season, so.
Yeah, so for sake of argument, you got George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, in no particular order before Chiefs fans come after me. Hey, man, you got to look at they are rabid.
It's true.
It's true. You got to cover your ass there. So, outside of those top 3, it's basically, it doesn't matter who you have because, one guy will go off, the other guy will be quiet. It doesn't matter. So, here's the whole thing. If it's boom or bust, sure, that's a fine guy to have in your roster, and that's exactly who Max Williams is. It's boom or bust. If this offense is working and they score 40-plus points a game, chances are you're going to be fine. And so you can do a lot worse with a guy who's only owned, by the way, in 3% of ESPN leagues and 1% of Yahoo leagues. That's extremely low for a guy who has put up 10-plus points twice in the past 3 weeks. So, look, if you're kind of dying for at least an insurance policy at tight end, worst case scenario, or if you're just looking for a tight end where it's like, screw it, my team's so good, it doesn't matter if my tight end sucks, he's the perfect guy to go for. So, when targeted for 5 or more times, he's put up 9 points or more. So, again, when this offense gets going, Max Williams benefits. So, I'm not going to say expect consistency from him week in and week out, but he can definitely do a lot worse. So, look, like I said before, I'm getting ready to drop Robert Tonyan. I'd much rather have Mike Williams. Well, I'd rather have Mike Williams as well. But I'd much rather have Max Williams on my roster than Robert Tonyan right now. And that tells you all you need to know about his production.
Yeah, he's not bad to add to your roster. The only thing I'll say, though, going into week 5, I know they're playing the Niners, and the Niners have a bad secondary, but their linebackers actually are really good in coverage. So they've been able to limit Robert Tonyan. They've been able to limit the Seattle they just played. There was no production for the tight end there as well. In their second week, they're able to cover the tight ends with the exception of TJ Hawkinson in week 1 when the defense completely let off the gas and just let them sort of come back almost. So
I'm pretty sure you still have PTSD from that.
Yes, a little bit. The way the season is going, I have a ton of PTSD right now. But anyways, so that's the only thing I'll say about Max Williams. But yes, with the offense that Arizona's running, they're spraying the ball out a lot more. Before, the tight end position in Cliff Kingsbury's offense was just not being utilized at all. But now we're finally starting to see it here a little bit. So Max Williams is a really good insurance policy policy if you do need a tight end to sort of, possibly upgrade over who you have right now. So another tight end that I actually really like as well is Dalton Schultz of the Dallas Cowboys. He's only rostered in 21.6% of ESPN leagues and 34% of Yahoo leagues. Now, before the season began, there was talk that Blake Jarwin may retake his starting role from Schultz, because if you remember, Blake Jarwin was the starter to start the 2020 season, but unfortunately suffered an ACL injury very early in the season, missed all of 2020. Dalton Schultz came in, he played really well. It was a little bit of a talk of just like who's going to be a starting tight end now. But if you look at the targets, it is not a competition at all. Dalton Schultz has 23 targets through 4 games, and Blake Jarwin only has 12. So it's clearly Dalton Schultz's show to sort of run here. And the big thing as to why there's such a disparity is because Schultz is more of an all-around tight end. So not only is he a good receiver, but he's also a good blocker. And when you're a good blocker, that means you're going to see the field a lot more. When you see the field a lot more, that means there's potential you're going to run more routes. So for that reason alone, Dalton Schultz has been seeing a lot more of the field. Obviously, he has the 9th most targets among all of tight ends, and he's actually tied for the 3rd most receptions among tight ends. So it's actually pretty crazy, because with Michael Gallup that got injured, he's become the 3rd passing option in this offense behind Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and there may be a game that one of those guys gets covered. Dalton Schultz may take more of those targets then. So yeah, if you're really pressing for a tight end, especially with the bye weeks coming up, Dalton Schultz will be a really good addition to your roster here. So Tad, like we usually do, we got the kickers and defense here. We don't spend a ton of time on them. Who do you like as far as your kickers and defense heading into week 5?
You know I got to do it with the kicker. You know I got to do it. You respect those specs, baby. You respect
I
those
do.
specs.
I'm so surprised that the roster percentage is so low for this guy, because I think there's a lot of potential with him. Even, I think there's a question mark around the percentage as far as why he's so lowly rostered, because of the Colts offense, question marks there, but I still think you need to own him.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't know, we are talking about Rodrigo Blankenship, the Colts kicker. He is owned in 19.8% of ESPN leagues and 40% of Yahoo. So Yahoo is double as much with ESPN, which is kind of surprising. But you look at his production, he scored double digits in the past 3 games. Look, it doesn't matter who Indy's QB is. I know Carson Wentz is doing Carson Wentz things. Of like, is he going to be ready this week? Is he not? I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm telling you guys, I will stand by this. I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. It doesn't matter, because Frank Reich is so good, he will get his offense into scoring position. Now, here's the real reason you should pick up Blankenship if you need a kicker. Indianapolis is ranked 30th in red zone touchdown percentage. So, while they can get there, again, because of Frank Reich's skill as a head coach, they can't quite finish the deal, which is absolutely gold for a kicker, because that means you get the free 2 or 3 points right there, because they can consistently get inside the other team's 20, but they can't quite close the deal. So Rodrigo Blankenship, if he's still available in your league, and you have I want to say Ryan Suckup, but you actually had a pretty good week this week. If you have a kicker's underperforming, 100% go for Blankenship, because I promise you that will be the basis of consistency.
And who's the defense that you like?
Defense. Oh man, you're gonna make me say it.
Oh yeah, of course. You're the one who's previewed it earlier with your hot take, so let's hear it.
If I show up on freezing cold takes, I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm so totally gonna show up. Screw it. I'm going for it. People, if you're streaming a defense, pick up the New York Jets defense. I'm saying it. I'm going for it.
Okay, let's hear the reasoning.
Right.
Let's hear the reasoning.
All right. I know. I must be insane, right? But think about it this way. The Jets have looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL, right? And there's no disputing that. They have looked terrible. However, their defense, when it comes to fantasy, have not landed the negative points so far. That is better than almost 50% of the defenses currently playing in the NFL. Moving on, the Falcons, who they are playing next week, have allowed 3 of the past 4 defenses they played to score 8 points or more. That is including the New York Giants. And I know they have some talent on that defense. That is not even close to a complete defense. So, if Zach Wilson can finally find his stride, kind of like what we talked about earlier, this could end up being a sneaky good streaming play. Because, look, if the Jets start putting up some points, all of a sudden Matt Ryan needs to start passing him more, and they kind of ditch that running game with Cordero Patterson, they're screwed. Because Atlanta's offensive line is terrible, and all these defenses are doing are focusing on Calvin Ridley. That's why Calvin Ridley really hasn't been doing as well this season. So all I'm saying is, look, that Jets defense, not as bad as you think it is. And look, again, I only recommend this if you are looking for a streaming defense, but if you are, no one else is going to bid for the Jets defense. You can get them pretty easily. I'm just saying. Not a terrible play in my opinion. God, this is going to come back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice.
Where's the podcast co-host faith there?
I don't have it for you there.
Oh,
that's very. I'm not on board with that one.
I'll stand by it. I'm gonna regret this in about 3 days, but screw it.
For me, for kicker, I got Matt Prater of the Arizona Cardinals. Only rostered.
That was all right. That was your pick that you stole from me this week.
Oh, okay.
Every week there's a pick, but yes, if Matt Prater's still available, which I'm sure you're about to list off the stats, he's available in a shockingly large amount of leagues. Go pick him up.
Yeah, 35.5% in ESPN leagues and only 49% in Yahoo leagues. So they're playing the Niners this week. I mean, the Niners will probably play them really hard. Their defense is the reason that they were able to stay in that Seattle game as long as they did. But unfortunately, the offense was just absolutely terrible last week. So if the defense still plays well, there's a potential that's that bend not break style of defense that could lead to field goals for Matt Prater, which means points for you. And also, you have to remember he's a top 5 kicker in fantasy leagues, and as I just mentioned, rostered in less than 50% of leagues across both Yahoo and ESPN. So yes, go pick up Matt Prater if you need a kicker this week. I'm going to go to my defense. I got a more credible defense than the New York Jets, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. They're only rostered in 22.5% of ESPN leagues.
You shit for the Jets?
Yes, 22% of Yahoo leagues. Now, you have to think about this. The Cowboys defense is playing well to start the season, and they get a divisional game against the Giants in Week 5. Dallas has recorded 2 interceptions in all 4 of their games this year heading into Week 5, and also they've registered 3 sacks at least per average over the last 3 weeks. So, I mean, they're really getting after it. Dan Quinn is bringing something to this defense, so expect this team to bring it in a divisional game. I think we'll see very much what they did against the Eagles a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football. I think they'll do the very same thing to the New York Giants heading into Week 5. So those are our waiver wire picks for this week heading into Week 5. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on all the Twitter handles. You can see it at the scroll below. You got my handle, under Desai 23, Tad's at Tad Desai 94, and the show handle, the Desai Guys. Let us know what you think. If you got any other recommendations, we'd love to hear it. And as always, if you have any lineup questions heading into Week 5, we definitely want to give you advice there. Trade offers, bye week replacements, anything and everything fantasy. We are here for you guys to help you out.